Ukraine is releasing thousands of prisoners so they can join the fight against Russia. That is the title of the AP article that was online roughly about an hour and a half ago. They actually changed the title of it. Originally it was something on the terms of like, Ukraine recruits prisoners to fight Russia, something like that. And ever since this article went online, I've been getting non-stop messages on Telegram and on Instagram saying, did you read this? Did you see this? Could you believe they're doing this? Russia did the same thing. It is completely different than what Russia did not too long ago. And I figured I'm going to make it just a short little video to go over it because a lot of people are getting confused. First is the article was put online by AP News. The article is actually at the top of their page right now, and it is an interesting article because they actually went there, they interviewed some of the prisoners, and they kind of got their idea behind it. First and foremost, out of the gate, I think that everyone should know that these prisoners are not rapists, they're not those who did any kind of sexual assault, and they're not murderers, okay? Those are not the kind of people who are being released, which is very different than what the Wagner group was. If you don't remember, it's been over a year now since we really heard anything about the Wagner mercenary group, but essentially Prigozhin's kind of thugs over there were those kind of people that were released to be put at the front lines with barely any training. They were forced to the front, and they were the first ones in the meat grinder. And I mean it, in the meat grinder. Russia used them really just as a force, just to keep throwing bodies into the fire. That is not what is going on in this situation. Essentially, these Ukrainians realize that there's roughly about 27,000 prisoners in Ukraine that have certain kind of, just say, convictions that are not as severe that could potentially be allowed to maybe get paroled early and go fight for Ukraine. Now, unlike the mercenary group that Russia had, that a lot of those folks were kind of pushed into it and they were kind of crazy, kind of put in that way, because I realized what they were. These men here had mostly kind of lighter convictions. Maybe they stole something, they robbed something, things they probably shouldn't have tried. Like there's still severe things, but it's not like the main things. They didn't rape. They didn't do anything of sexual assault. They didn't do any kind of murdering. According to at least what was released in this article, if you qualify under this, you would go through essentially an interview to make sure you are at sound, because it could be worrisome. Maybe you've got someone who's a little loony. You don't want them going through. You go through a medical exam, top to bottom. Actually, anyone who does this, regardless if you're in jail or not, you have to go through a medical exam to join any kind of armed forces. And then from there, they look at your conviction. What kind of conviction was it? How much time is left? And going through that, at this very moment, Ukraine has already gotten about 3,000 prisoners. Now, this is one of those things where no one's being forced into it. Okay, out of the 27,000 people that could potentially qualify for this, 3,000 people. Well, the way that it works is that these recruiters come to these jails. They give a little speech and they explain what the program is. Oh, this is what we'll do. This is how we'll do it. In it, they actually talked about one of the guys that kind of gave a quote in here saying that, quote, the main thing is your will, because you're going to defend the motherland. You won't succeed at 50%. You have to give 100% of yourself, even 150. And just like kind of any other recruiter, they went there, they talked about what you'd be doing. According to this, they would be kind of shuffled through different brigades, and then from there could be on the front lines in a certain unit. It all depends on their expertise, etc. So let's just say that you want to go ahead and do this. You're a prisoner in Ukraine, and maybe you've got a bribery charge or a theft charge. You would go to the recruiter would go through all that stuff, see if you qualify. If you qualify, then from there, you can then sign up. Now, it is kind of interesting the way that it's done, because according to one of the people that they interviewed, and in this article, they actually talked about how in their interviews, a lot of these people only want to be known for their first name, because if they are in the front lines, they don't want that information out there. And in the interviews, some of the men that they interviewed said that they would not be going into this program. One of the guys who only has a year left in his sentence said that he's not interested in the program, but once he does get out, he might sign up. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, that makes no sense. You could sign up now and get paroled early. Why would you wait? Well, if you sign up through the program, through the jail, through the prisoner program, there really aren't that many benefits except for the fact that you get paroled. That's it. Or, as they say here, you'll come out as a hero versus you went to jail. Now, if you decided to wait until your sentence was over and then enlist and volunteer, then you get other kind of benefits, pensions and things like that. You also even get time off to go visit your family versus if you go through this parole. Now, outside of that, there really isn't any other information. A lot of people are trying to figure out, are they going to get any kind of incentives in sense of like, well, the repayment, how many years do they have to do this? Stuff like that had not been announced, at least in this AP News article. It could be in other ones, but if you do have a year left, it does make more sense for you to wait until your year is over and then kind of go into it. At the same time, there's 27,000 men, and at the front lines, Ukraine really needs more. And so I guess it's their hope that they can get these 27,000 inmates to kind of move forward with it. It's just a matter of, it depends on, I guess, maybe how much time you have left. Maybe you got 10 years left, and yeah, it makes more sense to get paroled and go do that, but at the same time, you can't visit your family. It's like that one guy saying he's got a year left. He goes, if I got a year, I could just wait it out and then volunteer and be able to take time. Because when you do enlist, you get X amount of weeks off every X amount of months to go visit your friends and family. And you don't get that if you go through this program. So I guess the better question is, what would you guys do in this circumstance? Is it something that you would kind of sign up one way or other or wait your turn? Well, I think that this is a good move for Ukraine. And once again, it is very, very different than what Russia is doing. Russia had mercenaries that were truly the worst of the worst being thrown to the front lines with no training, by the way. There was no training whatsoever versus Ukrainians who would go through this program. They would get training. They're not like hard criminals. They just did briberies and robberies and things like that, which still a crime. Don't get me wrong. They're not good guys. It's just, at least this gives them opportunity to do the right thing. Once again, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below, and be sure to follow me for more.